Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by 3G and Barstool Sports. I am your host, Robbie Fox. With me is my co-host, Clem, and we are here with a bit of a breaking news podcast, a breaking news episode due to D23, Disney's Disney exclusive Comic-Con, where they just talk about all of Disney's properties, which I wrote in my blog, pretty much covers everything at this point. When they're like, it's only Disney things. It's like, well, what does that really mean? It's friggin' Marvel, it's Star Wars, it's Lucasfilm, it's this, it's that, the next thing. We said the podcast feed was going to be just dedicated to House of the Dragon, but how could we not cover this? There's a lot of stuff to talk about.
This is nerd catnip right now, Bob. I think has Disney just overtaken Comic-Con as like the premier nerd moment?
Not yet. Not yet.
It's close though, right? It feels like we're moving towards there. If
the
MCU, maybe when like the phase 6 is really cooking, I feel like it may be like, all right, we're just lining them up. The two lists here, we're gonna be like, Disney might have it. Star Wars also needs to get back on track, which I think the big reveal from yesterday for Star Wars could be that. But it just feels like it's a lot of Black Adam stuff going on at Comic-Con.
Yeah,
where we're getting a little bit more.
Well, if you pulled all the Disney stuff from Comic-Con, then yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Definitely.
That's what
if Disney said we're not doing Comic-Con this year, we're just doing D23. D23 is the must-watch stream.
And let me tell you, those motherfuckers have a plan for that. I don't know. It's 2022 over under 2025 is when Disney just is like, yep, we're not doing Comic-Con this year. See y'all D20. What did that 20?
D23 every year.
It's D23 every year. So it would just be see you guys at D23 in 2027, 2028, whatever it is. I think that's what's going to happen because those motherfuckers are.
It was the rumor for this year. I think that it was rumored
that
they weren't going to do Comic-Con, and then the last minute it was like they're doing Comic-Con.
Mickey is a motherfucker. That dude just is ruthless. But exciting stuff, and we're down in the basement getting ready. And listen, for any of the people listening that can't see, our boy Jose is not here this week. We will get him back in, and we'll get his thoughts on everything. We have a bunch of stuff we have to touch, and I know when Jose, I can see when he's just like, guys, I don't know Star Wars. Like there's certain.
We'll get him back on for one of the things we're talking about actually that comes out next month on Disney Plus. Werewolf by Night. We'll do a Werewolf by Night episode with Jose.
He got us through the Moon Knight, flawlessly. So I will be very happy to have Jose tell me what to think about everything here.
So let's get into the Lucasfilm presentation first, and then we'll do Marvel after that. That's how it was on the actual panel. That's how it was structured. Lucasfilm kicked things off with Andor, brand new trailer. It's about a minute long. It says trailer. I would say it's more of a teaser, and I like that. We're kind of sticking with not knowing much about the plot other than this is some spy espionage, Jason Bourne shit with Star Wars politics mixed in. And now don't get PTSD when I say Star Wars politics and think back to the prequels. I think this team is the team to do it right. I think they did it really well in Rogue One, the little that was shown, even the power struggle between Krennic and Tarkin in that movie was really well done. I think Andor is really, really going to be maybe the best show since The Mandalorian.
Yeah, we have our...
Which for some people doesn't say much. I know some people didn't like the Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan.
I was going to say, we got the Boba Fett show, didn't have enough Boba Fett. We have the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, didn't have enough Obi-Wan Kenobi. Andor, just give us a bunch of Andor. I don't know. But yeah, you have the people... I think Rogue One is probably the one movie that everyone liked. I think the Force Awakens was pretty good too. There was a lot of people who complained when the Force Awakens came out. I bet those people wish they saved their complaints for like some of the other movies they might not have liked as much. But I'm excited for Andor. Now I read a tweet somewhere and it must have been a typo. It said Andor is 22 episodes long. And I go, well, I guess I'm out on Andor. It's 12 episodes long. I could be in a dozen. You can't give me more than a dozen for like an Andor kind of series.
I think that's 2 seasons, I think. A dozen per season and 24 total.
When's the next season?
Not for a long time.
Oh, okay.
But they're about to start shooting the next 12. Maybe that's where it got mixed up.
Maybe that's what I saw. Okay, so that makes a little more sense. If done right, politics, political thrillers, espionage, all these fancy words that I'm not 100% sure what they mean. I'm in for that kind of shit. You throw some blasters in people's hands, maybe a lightsaber comes up here and there, and the fucking the plums are tingling a little bit. So
look at Thrones. I mean, House of the Dragon is like a political show, and it's done right, and it's, they throw fantasy and dragons in there, and it's amazing. Guess what? In Star Wars, you have the elements that they have in terms of fantasy sci-fi stuff. You can do that kind of stuff, and I would love to see it.
It's kind of crazy actually to think about it, that more franchises that have such a built-up fan base don't try to, I mean, it's easier said than done, but do Thrones but for that, because backstabbing, like soap operas have been on TV forever on all the network TV stations, and there's a reason for it too. And I've watched a couple of them back in the day when I first started dating my wife, when we would be at home, and I'm like, this is a bunch of nonsense, but you know what? It just gets you hooked with all like the scandal and drama. So if they could do that in Star Wars, it would be awesome. So I'm hoping for the best. I think the first week there's a triple episode. Is that right?
That's right.
The Basement Boys, man, we have a lot of stuff going on. We have a lot of stuff on our plate, and I'm just Basement Boys stuff, let alone just all the other stuff here at Barstool. Robbie's a goddamn rock and roll star. UFC, I got the Mets going on in the playoffs. NFL, just typical content stuff. We are going to be working our butt off, but there's nothing I'd rather do than be here in the basement. Keep the basement lights on, baby. Let's
keep the lights on. And I think we're going to get some aspects of Star Wars Game of Thrones in the next season of The Mandalorian. I'm going to save that for when we talk about the trailer, but I could see some sort of Thrones-esque stuff going on. Lucasfilm showed a trailer for Willow. Did you watch Willow when that came out? The original?
I remember it coming out, never got into it.
Me neither. I've never seen it. Maybe we should do like a you and me watch it for the first time or something. Because I don't know if you saw the trailer for this. I thought it was a movie when I just saw the trailer. It's a series, and it looks really fucking good. I was pretty shocked.
So I've never watched it. I'm pretty sure our guy Large is a fan of Willow. And he had a fucking and Willow had like a blowtorch or whatever in the trailer.
Yeah.
Large likes absurd weapons. Like he has a blowtorch. He has KFC's blowtorch at his house. So maybe we have Large come on. Maybe we watch it. Large kind of chops it up with us. If by some miracle RA is watching again, the RA Large episode of My Mom's Base of My Mind is one of the most entertaining.
Growing
things.
up a nerd in the 80s.
Yeah. And just the accents going back and forth, and probably like a lot of talk about being Irish and shit like that. I'm dying to hear that. And we throw some Willow in the mix. You never know what you're going to get.
We hit 30K. Should that be like a goal, like 35K? You greenlight the episode.
Yeah, we get the thumbs up from both of them, and then once we hit 35K, that's when the green light goes down, and we actually record it. I like that, Bob. That's good thinking.
And that's attainable. I thought about setting it at 40, and I said, nah, fuck it. Let's make it attainable because I want to do that podcast.
Come on, get your come on, chicklets. We need to get the chicklets fucking people, into the basement here, because then we'll be that's nitroglycerin right there.
But not much to say about Willow. We don't know much about it. The trailer I thought looked very good. If you're on the fence about it, watch the trailer. I think the production value is through the roof.
People who watch Willow like Willow a lot too, which is a good thing, when you have a fan base like that. So you're like, all right, if it's good enough for them, I think it has. And the fact that they're bringing it back in 2022, or I guess 23, that shows that.
It is, doesn't say here. Maybe the end of the trailer. November, so 2022,
oh, shit.
November 30th.
God damn, we have so much. We got, guys, 5,000 more people in like 2 months. Let's get those subscribe buttons and start hitting up the chicklets. Like, we're going to have to reach out to RA himself. Don't worry, boys. I got you.
Bad Batch Season 2, I think they showed some stuff to the panel, but they didn't show it to us, so we haven't seen anything. The few things we know, it debuts January 4th, 2023, and I think there's a bit of a time jump, so Omega is going to be like a bit of a teenager now.
A lot. I enjoy time jumps a lot more when they are cartoons and not real people. The whole Stranger Things still has my brain kind of in a jumble, and it wasn't even that much of a time jump. It was just the kids got old. For anyone that watched our recaps, we did it with Ken Jack on the Lights Camera Barstool feed. I became kind of a Star Wars cartoon guy. That was my first introduction to it. I liked it. I grew to like it even more the more I continued watching it. I still haven't gone back to Clone Wars and all that kind of stuff, but it did kind of allow me to know that if I ever do it, I think I'll enjoy it. And I'm sure there's other people in the basement here who are on the same level as me that either have not watched the cartoons or never even thought about it. Thumbs up from your pal Clem here, and especially I think it's something with the kids I can get into. So Bad Batch was, I guess we won't go too much into it for the people who haven't watched it, but there was a few characters in there that I really dug. There was the Bad Batch has a cool cast of dudes, man.
And for those that don't know, it was one of George Lucas's last like things that he really wanted to do. Before
Oh,
he
I didn't
sold
know that.
Lucasfilm off, he made some episodes with Dave Filoni, like storyboarded them out, one being the Bad Batch's introduction in the final season of the Clone Wars. And he had the idea to offshoot them into their own thing. And Dave Filoni ran with that because Dave Filoni is like, he loves George Lucas so much that he's like, I'll do whatever George wanted to do and I'll make it awesome. Speaking of Dave Filoni making awesome cartoons, Tales of the Jedi. We got our first look at this new series. It's kind of like an anthology series. We know that the first drop is going to be 6 total episodes in October, 3 of which follow Ahsoka at 3 different times in her life, I believe. One of which is like her as a baby, her as a child. You kind of see where she came from, her tribe, her camp, or whatever. And then 3 are about Count Dooku as a Jedi. Those 3 I am fascinated by because the animation looks really cool. It's him and Mace Windu. It's him and Qui-Gon. It looks really, really cool. And Dave Filoni doesn't really miss when it comes to cartoons, so I expect this to be amazing.
Yeah, if it's Filoni, it's good. Again, Count Dooku was the guy who was thrown into the Attack of the Clones because they didn't have the balls to throw Darth Jar Jar in there, which would have made the entire prequels 1,000 times better. So I'll be interested to see how Count Dooku is. I kind of hate Count Dooku. I can't lie. He's kind of just the bad taste. He's not the worst, not even close to the worst part of the prequels, but he's kind of the symbol where it's just kind of half baked. So so much.
You don't
of it
like
in my mind.
his lightsaber with a little curve at the end? That's kind of sweet.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah. Everything else about him I hate, but the
Come
slight
on,
curve is kind of
Christopher Lee, rest in peace. He's a great actor.
the meme where it's like look of disapproval or something like that. That is the best part of Count Dooku, actually, followed by the curved lightsaber, and then everything else about him. But great actor too, actually. So we'll throw that as number 3 on the list. R.I.P.
Fun fact for you, a little rock and roll fun fact for you. He is on the cover of Paul McCartney's Band on the Run.
That is a fun fact. Bob Fox with the fun facts. Follow My Mom's Basement on the TikTok. Obviously on YouTube, Bob Fox has the shorts. They some of them do some numbies, as the people in the biz say. So it's a good time. So check that out, and maybe that'll be the next one.
I have a series on that too now. Like I do the rock and roll diss tracks, and they've been doing really well. Like they started blowing up on TikTok, 500,000. They started blowing up on YouTube, 100,000 each. And I feel like George Lucas. I'm like, right now I've got great approval with this trilogy. Do I do another one? And I did a 4th one, and it hasn't been doing as well. And I'm like, I made the Phantom Menace.
Oh, watch out what you say. The prequel Stan Fran might be coming at you throwing those kind of words out there.
Ahsoka. We got a little presentation on Ahsoka. It's still in production. I think Rosario Dawson was there. She might have been. We saw the first shot of Sabine, which was really cool because she was standing in front of this mural of the cast of Star Wars Rebels from the show. So in the show, she painted this like mural on this rock. And the picture that was shown in live action looks like that's basically canonized to where they made it look like the painting is the Rebels animation style. So it's like an in-universe, like making it, I mean, it made like nerdgasms go off everywhere. If you watched Rebels and you're a fan of Sabine Wren, really, really cool. We don't know much about Ahsoka still, though. Jon Favreau said it was Dave Filoni's magnum opus.
When you start throwing stuff like that around, obviously Filoni and Favreau are Feiges of the Star Wars universe. So anything that either they put a lot of love into, their magnum opus, anything like that is to be considered like this is going to be the good shit. This is the stuff on the top shelf. So I'll be excited for that. Again, Ahsoka, don't really know much about her outside of what you guys have told me, along with her brief time saving the Book of Boba Fett and little Mandalorian stuff. So are you worried at all? Like, could the Ahsoka show, if it kind of flops, could it hurt the character I think Bob Fox is just so like hardcore into these characters, he'll be all right with it. But is there a party that's like, if they fuck this up, it could kind of like hurt my love of the Ahsoka character?
I don't think so. Especially because it's Filoni. If someone other than Filoni were doing it, But like Filoni, that's his character so much. It's him and Lucas,
True.
but it's so much Filoni's character that I trust him so much, and also feel like he has the right to do whatever he wants with her story arc going forward.
That I forgot that that's kind of seen as his character. So
Yeah.
that I still like. I guess worst case scenario. But again, I almost should like lose the ability to speak. I should just have the Scarlet Witch just sew my lips together like Black Bolt for even saying that. Exactly.
Another sort of interesting thing from that, Favreau and Filoni straight up said that Ahsoka's inclusion in The Mandalorian was like to test the audience approval rating and see if she wanted, they wanted to do a show. And audience obviously loved Rosario as Ahsoka. They said, greenlight that fucking show right now.
They're like 9 out of 10 nerds were covered in cum by the time that was over, and the ones that weren't covered in cum, those were females that might have had lady cum somewhere else. We just couldn't see it on them.
Skeleton Crew, the next show. John Watts was brought out, obviously the director of the last 3 Spider-Man movies. Favreau said that he basically drafted John Watts from Marvel to Star Wars after the last Spider-Man. And they really shocked me when they said that they just wrapped filming this show. It's done, and they're going into post-production now. It's a show following, where's the little thing here? The little blurb. Original show from John Watts. Skeleton Crew is a group of kids stranded in the outskirts of the galaxy, featuring Jude Law, surrounded by the same security droids we see outside Jabba's palace in the first image from it. Takes place in the New Republic post Return of the Jedi. That's kind of the new sweet spot for Star Wars content.
That's what I was going to say. It seems like they're going to be hammering that a bunch. Most Star Wars stuff, it's like I am cautiously optimistic about it. I don't know if that's even the word. I'll give it a shot. I don't even know if optimistic's the word. But stuff like this, I'm like, I'm going to go in one eye open, wincing a little bit, like, please just be decent, kind of a thing. I'm someone who probably falls in the lower side of the Star Wars shows this year. So it's like we didn't really hit that, and we had such a nice run with the first 2 Mandalorians, Bob. Remember just how smooth we were sailing there for a while. It was a united fan base. I don't think there's a lot of people who are like, holy shit, Star Wars knocked it out of the park this year, right? So far, I think that was kind of our takeaway from the first 2 series. So this one, I am excited. I think it was Taika. I think Taika said he wants to kind of just get as far away from this timeline of Star Wars when he does his thing, because he's like, we're not going to have it be like, oh, is that Princess Leia's great-great-grandma, or how is this person related? Right? He's like, no, we're not doing any of that shit. And as someone that has said that has kind of been like a running gag in the Star Wars thing, that and like the hyperdrive always being out, I kind of like just getting completely away from all that.
I think you're going to like Andor a lot then too, because they're straight up coming out and saying there's no fan service in the show. We did no fan service at all, so please don't expect that.
And I am because like I can't say I'm not a hypocrite when they do kind of just scratch that little fan service.
If R2D2 is in the background, you're the nerd covered in cum. Like, oh my god.
I'm just thinking of the Millennium Falcon having like the uploaded girl inside of it, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Not great.
That's why Mando's in love with it.
His name is Solo, because he's Solo. Oh,
how about Alone, Han Alone?
Bob, keep us rolling, because I'm starting to feel the anger going up in me. The dark side's coming out.
I'm going to take all that anger away and remind you about Baby Yoda, because we got the trailer for The Mandalorian Season 3. The first one that really went out. We saw one at Comic-Con that leaked. It was kind of that you watch it on half a phone screen that's blurry, and you're like, is that fucking Babu Frick? It is Babu Frick.
Did you watch it?
Babu Frick is here. Oh, of course I did. Come on.
Okay, because there is like, remember the movies? I know you had to watch Spider-Man. That was a COVID thing.
Yeah.
Bob did it for the people in the
Spider-Man trailer. Remember, without the VFX that you vlogged.
And I vlogged this one too. I'm like, let's just get fucking crazy with it. There's something. We live in such a polished age where everything can be in streaming in 4K, delivered right to your phone, not even your computer, and you could just watch it. You don't have to watch it on TV whenever they want to release it. There's something kind of like old school where it's like these little bootleg versions of it. I kind of like it. It's kind of grimy. Like it was back in the day.
You're like doing something wrong. You're like, oh shit, I'm watching it before they put it out.
Yeah, I mean the olds will get this too. Like this reference, like Funk, the olds in the Northeast, basically New York. Like when Funk Flex would drop a new song, he'd drop 100 bombs on it, and you're like, I can't even understand the song right now because there's so many bombs going in whenever he would launch a new rap song or release a new rap song on Hot 97. It's kind of like that, where it's like, is like you said, is that Babu Frick? I think that is. There's something, I don't know. It's like
fucking Babu Frick is back, Clem. It's unreal. It's a really good trailer. It's a teaser trailer, and they said as much. So it's again a little over a minute. They use a lot of footage from the Book of Boba Fett, where the Mandalorian reveals to the armor, "I did take my helmet off," and she says, "Well, then you are a Mandalorian no more." And then he goes to, I think the season is going to follow his journey to Mandalore, his journey in the mines that are all destroyed now, and the fight to take Mandalore back. And I said, I think I'm going to get some Game of Thrones elements in this because we kind of see Bo-Katan sitting on the throne, and she's none too pleased with the Mandalorian for having the Darksaber, I think she wants that Darksaber. She says, your cult friggin' fractioned off the Mandalorians. She's a part of Death Watch. They are the biggest terrorist Mandalorian organization of all time. Unreal hypocritical line from Bo-Katan. I think we're going to go to war with Bo-Katan this season. I'm already pissed off at her for that. She's going to have to win me back in the first episode if she ever wants me back on her side, because he fractioned them. I can't even go into how hypocritical that was. Ken Jack on Twitter said she was basically second in command to Osama bin Laden. And she's saying that you fractioned the Mandalorians. But we see a lot of different Mandalorians in this trailer. A lot of different cool colored helmets. There's that one shot of him standing next to the like 4 Mandalorians. One of them has like an orange helmet with teal on the inside. I was like, this is gonna be fucking badass. We see the cloning guy that looks like Ken Jack in the trailer.
Yes,
so he's back. We see Grief Karga with a glow up. His threads were looking unbelievable. His whole town. What was that? Or not Pelimoto. That's the name of Amy Sedaris' character. It'll drive me crazy. Yeah. What was the name of Grief Karga's town in The Mandalorian? There's 1,000 nerds listening to this right now going, you idiot.
I love hearing Bob usually
Navarro, right? Navarro. Well, that
yeah.
was the planet.
I'm usually the guy who's all fired up and gets angry at one character and just goes on his rants. You just, patiently let me get like the vitriol out, Bob. Unleash on Bo-Katan all you want. Obviously, you guys have a history together. She's Clone Wars, right?
She's on C-word watch. After
Bob's throwing the C-word watch.
Just watch. Just watching. Just after that. That pissed me off. That was the perfect line to put in the trailer because I'm like, I have to fucking see this season because what is she going to say further than that?
I will say this, I don't want to even say this in Bo-Katan's defense because I feel like I don't want to be on the C-word watch for Bob as well. But, terrorists sometimes don't realize they're terrorists. They don't, and cults sometimes don't realize they're cults. They're just so deep into it.
And she's been a hypocrite forever. In the cartoons too. She's a hypocrite. For sure. That's part of her character trait. It just pisses me off. I was in on her last season. She helped us out getting Grogu back from Moff Gideon, who we didn't see in the trailer, but he was at D23. We know he's going to be in the season, have a presence. I think they're just saving it like they usually do and probably showing us footage from the first couple episodes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm shocked that they showed that we're going to be going to Mandalore just because I feel like Mandalorian has been very good, kind of holding a lot of its cards close to its chest. And I guess maybe they're just like, A, who cares? Or B, like, yeah, that's the entire season or, a good chunk of what we're building towards here, which is fine because how many times did we say it felt like so many of the Mandalorian felt like just one-offs, the spaghetti westerns, right? Everything is its own show and whatever. And this one feels like it's going to be really just building up maybe in the same setting every single time instead of, hey, Mando, you want this, piece for your hyperdrive? You have to go help me kill somebody. All right, I'll go do it. Hope Grogu doesn't get killed. We made it back. He ate a frog. Roll credits. And I say that in the nicest way possible. I fucking love Mandalorian. But it seems like it's going to be a different show potentially for season 3. And now that we can see the trailer in beautiful 4K, I think we're going that way. And again, we're going to get some fan servicey stuff with Salacious Crumb creatures.
Salacious Crumb, yeah.
So that kind of took me back.
We saw some pirates. We might get this guy. There's a pirate in the cartoons that's kind of like a Star Wars Jack Sparrow guy named Hondo, and he's awesome. People love him. I thought maybe we get him in live action if we're seeing pirates, because that would be kind of like
Ooh.
he would kind of be the next character, not in a villain way, but Cad Bane-esque from the cartoons that everyone loves and would love to see in live action. I think that'd be cool.
We don't actually. I was gonna get really mad and upset about Cat Bane, but I think he's coming back, right? I
I
don't
think
think
he's good. Yeah, it looked like he was dead, but there was the beeping still, and I don't know.
Unless like the dude is getting burned on like a pyre or something like that. Star Wars people can come
He'll
back.
probably come back like half a robot, looking like he's out of Mortal Kombat.
Exactly.
I found out the name of the town in Navarro is Navarro City. Real original.
The fact you didn't put the two together, it's like, oh, by the way, it's Navarro City. Let me I did kind of like shit on Book of Boba Fett a little bit because I thought we were getting so much more in the beginning. You can even hear our voice being like, all right, well, this is how they're going to build it up, and we're going to do this. And then it was just the flashback to tank every time. The Book of Boba Fett, the best thing it did was it allowed us to get Baby Yoda and Mando back together without having to spend like half the Mandalorian being like, are they, aren't they? Is he going to choose him? We got it all done. And those were the best episodes of that series. So I'm going to take that as like an absolute win for both Mando and Book of Boba Fett. So the fact we have our boys together and we're going to go fuck some shit up in a planet far, far away, in a galaxy far, far away, let's fucking rock and roll.
Agreed. And some people complained about that, like, oh, I have to watch Book of Boba Fett now to understand, or, why didn't you save that for The Mandalorian? I don't think people fully understand and grasp that Jon Favreau is putting together, like, the Marvel blueprint for Star Wars television. They want you to watch everything. Mm-hmm. They want everything to be interconnected, because eventually I think they're going to do a big we're taking back Mandalore movie where it's like Boba Fett and Mandalorian and all of these shows, Ahsoka, interconnecting. I think that is going to happen.
Interesting. Okay, that could be cool. Is Mandalore? I have Thrones brain and Star Wars brain colliding right now. I feel like Mandalore is a little bit of like Valyria. How was it as a planet? Was it like really advanced?
It was like thriving. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like a peaceful people. Their capital city was like beautiful, that they kind of showed like the globe that was destroyed. That's in the capital city. That was the capital of Mandalore. And then, the purge happened and everything went to shit. They blew that up. We kind of saw little flashbacks in, I think it was in Book of Boba Fett. We saw the purge.
Yeah, I think that's where we got kind of a glimpse of it there. So, okay, because I mean, Valyria seems like a really cool place, and I'd love to see Valyria back when it was actually like thriving as well.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll get a little bit more Mandalore history. And I will say this: I don't think it's too much for Favreau to ask people to watch the Book of Boba Fett to know the Mandalorian stuff. I think if he asks you to watch like the cartoons or maybe some of the shows that are not nearly as big. I mean, they fucking put the Book of Boba Fett in the post-credit scene for the Mandalorian. So you should have been like, all right, this is basically continuation. Again, I think we said it was the Book of Boba Fett, it was like the Mandalorian is a book, and then the Book of Boba Fett was kind of like a little comic book hidden inside of it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what they were trying to tell you. Like, look, we took characters from the show that were a big part of Mandalorian season 2 and are giving them the own show. We're bleeding in between now. And then anything basically, if motherfuckers wearing a helmet, it's probably going to have something to do with the Mandalorian. That's how I'm going to take it as a casual fan.
Indiana Jones 5, they showed a trailer to the audience in attendance. This trailer is not leaked from what I've seen, but everyone has said rave things about it, like rave reviews. It's great. Harrison Ford's back. Harrison Ford was on stage with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who's the co-star in it. And they said that James Mangold is the director, as we've known, but they said that Steven Spielberg and George Lucas were involved. John Williams, obviously, doing the score for this one. So it's kind of like the Mount Rushmore of Lucasfilm, the three of them being the Mount Rushmore. And then Harrison Ford kind of made a point to allude to, like, I know some people didn't like the last one, but this one is awesome, and I'm very proud of it. And the place went wild. He was like almost crying. I've never seen Harrison so emotional. And he reunited with Short Round. I don't know if you saw that picture. Yeah. After like 38 years, they were backstage together because Short Round was cast, we'll get to it in just a second, in Loki season 2 as a TVA agent, which I thought was perfect casting. If you've seen Everything Everywhere All at Once, his character in that is like perfect for just like the awkward TVA agent.
I love that Indiana Jones is just still chugging along all these years later.
Still chugging along. I love it.
When did The Last Crusade come out? Let's see. The Last Crusade.
86.
89.
89.
Here we are in 2022.
When did even Crystal Skull come out? Like 2009?
Yeah, Crystal Skull was a very long time ago. 2008.
I think it was over 10 years ago.
Bob Fox right there. So I mean, I can't even imagine if the internet was what it is now for Crystal Skull, because I remember seeing some pretty angry takes of that. And
remember the South Park episode?
that's kind of childhood. That's kind of what we did back in the day. We just watched South Park, and they kind of spoke for a lot of the nerds, right? So, I just can't believe Harrison Ford still.
When I look back, like, that is a very nostalgic movie for me, because I remember seeing it. I've told the story in the podcast plenty. Seeing it the day it came out with my mom. We got stuck in crazy traffic because there was an accident that they had to like clear off on the way to the movie theater. It was like, are we gonna go back? I was like, please, we need to see the new Indiana Jones. Like, so when I watch that, there's still the scenes where he survives a nuke by stepping in a fridge, where I'm like, what the fuck? Why would they put that in there? But I still kind of like it.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I've only watched it once. And I was like, all right, we never have to watch that one again.
I think the villain's pretty good. Like the villain, who plays her? It's the famous Charlize Theron, plays the villain, and she gets eaten by fucking fire ants. She gets eaten alive. Like, that's metal.
That's metal shit.
That's metal. Shia LaBeouf, he's not great.
Rob, do you think the people in the car are right there? I had to make sure we got a Mama Fox.
Yeah. Rob, don't worry about Indiana Jones. Say a prayer.
Little did you know that the accident, like the carnage, was just the Indiana Jones movie on the side of it, just smoldering. And it was a little precursor for what you're about to watch in the theater there. I do feel like it's always because it has the Lucas involvement. It kind of is like the stepbrother to Star Wars. I've always felt like that with Indiana Jones. Yeah. And then you go to Disney, which now obviously Disney has blown out with Star Wars and Marvel stuff, and they still have like. Do they still have the Indiana Jones thing at Hollywood Studios? I hope they do. The Indiana Jones stunt show?
I think they do, because there was a viral video not too long ago of the guy getting run over by the boulder. He didn't run fast enough. So funny. It was so funny.
It's still here, according to the
I went when I was 4, and I remember that being like a highlight of the trip.
Little breaking news in the pod. We officially booked our Disney. I'm making sure the kids don't hear this. We officially booked our Disney trip, so it's going to be brought to you by
Santa. They don't subscribe to the podcast feed, right?
They don't. Yeah, they're little bastards. I've asked them a million times. They're like, I won't even subscribe to the YouTube, and they're getting it for Christmas because it's basically all we can afford for Christmas now. So it is going to be. But I will give you guys a full review of the Indiana Jones Spectacular, which again, I was a kid when that shit was going on.
So are you going to go Star Wars Land?
I'd love to go with you first if Portnoy ever gets his shit together, but I feel like now that football season is here,
I'll just book it same time as your vacation. Me, AJ, Sienna will get matching shirts, and we'll be your 3 kids.
Yes. Yes.
Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, or whatever.
Perfect. I love it.
Before we get into the Marvel part of the presentation, let me tell everyone about HelloFresh, one of our favorite sponsors. HelloFresh will give you a delicious, delicious meal for dinner, and it'll be affordable. They have a packed website full of recipes, 30 plus recipes, 70 plus convenience items. If you have a busy schedule this fall, they will help you out. Now more than ever, I know people are looking to save money. In fact, HelloFresh is 25% less expensive than takeout and even cheaper than grocery shopping too. So enjoy the freshest fall flavors. Every HelloFresh recipe includes ripe, just-picked produce that travels from the farm to your door in less than a week. You can easily customize the meals, too. This is huge for maybe a picky eater like myself, who you want to swap out a protein or a side. You can do that now. It's very easy.
Huge.
Upgrade to choice proteins. Add a protein to a veggie meal. So if you see a veggie meal, which sometimes you do, where you're like, listen, I'm not a vegetarian, but that looks delicious, and you want to add chicken to it, you can do that. And then it's an upgraded meal, even better. I love it. Clem loves it. We've both made it. It's very easy to make. The recipe cards are very easy to follow. They have meals that you could make in like 30 minutes or less, 20 minutes or less. If you go to HelloFresh.com/Robbie16, ROBBIE16, and use the code Robbie16, you'll get 16 free meals across 7 boxes and 3 free gifts. Clem, This could be great for our busy fall coming up. We've got so many shows, we've got so
Yes.
many things going around. We need some HelloFresh, make things easier for us.
I ain't gonna have time to go to the grocery store. I'm gonna be in the basement the whole goddamn time. I can't. I'm just. I'm gonna have to set up a kitchen in the basement, so I just don't have to leave here. We could just record. I'll be cooking on the side right here as we're doing it. And Bob, you said it perfect. Like they said, the fresh from the farm. It just feels like better than going to the grocery store. And sometimes you're looking at some of the produce, you're like, this isn't great here. This stuff is legit. I have to just shout out this one meal. I always give my one meal shout out. This one, it's called the one pan sweet chili turkey lettuce wraps. I've never been a lettuce wrap guy, never even heard of them until somewhat recently. And I made them, man. It is like the perfect, it's sweet and spicy, but also like refreshing with the lettuce. It was the absolute best combo. So if anyone's doing these, try the one pan sweet chili lettuce wrap. And has like the little candied peanuts in there. Like you just feel like an expert when you cook this kind of shit. You feel like you're in Star Wars cooking like stuff you never even knew existed. It's incredible.
That's a great, great call. Now let's get into the Marvel part of the presentation. There's a lot of Marvel stuff. They actually kicked off their part of the presentation with a full performance of the opening musical, Rogers the Musical. Like the opening song. They had all the cast come out. They did the song, Rogers the Musical. Unreal. Kevin Feige just like kind of dunking on Star Wars, if we're being honest, by doing that.
Do you think it's getting to the point where like Filoni and Favreau are like, all right, we really have to fucking like step, like it must be so annoying to have like the old, like I feel like Feige is the older brother.
They should have had Ewoks run out and do Yub Nub at the beginning.
And they're gonna do that like next time, and then Feige's gonna dial it up like 3 other levels that they didn't even see coming and be like, God damn it.
He's gonna be like, we have the full musical now. Here's the next for the next 3 hours. Here's Rogers the Musical.
We've brought Thanos to life, and he has Infinity Stones. Like, we have real life Infinity Stones. You guys want to try them? Like, here's the Power Stone.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, this guy is inventing fucking cosmic entities.
That might be like, we need to do like a My Mom's Basement skit show where it's like us as Favreau and Filoni on stage just being like, fuck, they did it again.
Invent the lightsaber, a real fucking lightsaber. It's all you guys have to do. You guys have the one thing that trumps anything Marvel has, and it's the lightsaber. Invent a real lightsaber, like slice some shit up, make it somewhat affordable. I know Disney owns you, and that's asking too much, but just make a real fucking lightsaber. That's all you have to do.
The first thing that Marvel actually presented, though, was Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Ryan Coogler came out. He showed a new clip to the audience. We didn't see it. It wasn't released online. We saw the Queen Ramonda has a tense exchange with some accusatory members of United Nations following a fight scene of the Dora Milaje taking out a group of French soldiers attempting to steal their vibranium. We were told it's kind of a movie about the entire world trying to capitalize on Wakanda at its weakest and taking the vibranium from them, including, I think, Atlantis and the Submariner and all that kind of stuff. We saw in the footage, they saw Submariner fight M'Baku and also Ironheart take flight in her Ironheart suit.
I was excited for Submariner before we talked to Jose. After we talked to Jose, I got really excited because he was jazzed up. He wasn't like losing his breath like he was when I think it was Secret Invasion. He couldn't even speak for like 5 minutes. But I got really excited for this. There is just something about Wakanda Forever. It just kind of makes me sad though. Like,
yeah, the movie's gonna be sad.
Yeah, the movie's going to be sad, and it's just like it's real life sadness with Chadwick, and he was so perfect for it. And just knowing all the shit he went through, just seeing the title just makes me sad right now, man. So I'm hoping that maybe we can get the trailer soon, and then just kind of the excitement for the movie. But it just makes me sad. There's really no other way to put it here.
Ironheart was kind of presented quickly after this because it kind of goes off of this. Anthony Ramos from Hamilton is going to play the magical Hood as the villain, and the show is going to focus on magic versus tech, which if you're a DC Comics fan and you're a Batman fan, tech always wins.
The Batman Bob came out there a little bit. I like that. The fanboy of it. That seems to be, that almost feels like 2 phases, right? It feels like the tech phase was, Tony Stark, my dog Tony Stark, and the magic phase. I mean, I think we're kind of living in the magic phase right now.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, and all that kind of stuff. So it is kind of interesting to see how the 2 are going to go. I don't know about this one for the weekly. Again, all the shit going on in the basement for the next year or so. I don't know if this will be like. I hope it is. She-Hulk, like we said in our weekly She-Hulk recap.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're saying this. It's a show about a fucking Iron Man super fan. The first episode, you're gonna be like, I think this might be my favorite MCU show. I didn't expect it, but
is that the Clem impersonation voice?
That's
is
the
that what you
Clem
use when I'm not around?
I think Iron Man's so cool.
I'm not even going to do a Bob one about Captain America and how he basically caused half the universe to disappear because it's just above. I'm above it. I'm above that kind of stuff right there. You're right though. You're 100% right. Like you know me better than I know myself. I'll be like, oh, but Bob, are we going to do Ironheart or not? Are we going to do it? You're like,
kind of relate to her now. Yeah.
So, and for anyone listening on the podcast who doesn't realize it, we are doing She-Hulk on the My Mom's page. You can go to it, subscribe. We're both fans of it. It's 4 for 4. Some people, I had a guy hit me up and he's like, Clem, I'm gonna be honest. If you guys like She-Hulk, I can't take anything you say or like seriously anymore. I said, listen, man, I get it. Like, just like I hated The Last Jedi and everyone was like, oh, I can't believe you hated it. And then, I go, everyone likes their things. He goes, well, actually, I love The Last Jedi. So I think you're right there. So just remember, everyone has different tastes. I personally She-Hulk is the most consistent show in the MCU so far. I know what I'm getting every episode, and I'm usually getting stuff I like. So check it out on YouTube if you guys want to watch it. Yep,
big fan of She-Hulk. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was up next, and this one's a huge one. Kevin Feige straight up said this movie is the first movie in a line to Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. We know this is going to be the debut of Kang. We saw Jonathan Majors, who's going to play Kang in Loki, but he was playing He Who Remains, a version of Kang there. This is straight up Kang the Conqueror, and he will be torturing Scott Lang by kidnapping Cassie Lang, his daughter, and making Scott commit a heist for him in the quantum realm to get her back. Sounds trippy, sounds badass. Paul Rudd was on stage. He said this one's going to be a lot darker than the last 2 Ant-Man movies. You would have to expect that after the last 2 were kind of the most comedic movies in the MCU, aside from maybe the latest Thor. I really like the first 2 Ant-Man movies. I think they're underrated. Maybe not by the hardcore fans. I feel like the hardcore fans always say that kind of stuff, but they're great movies that you could show to like a non-MCU fan and show like, oh, these are like very funny movies. They're comedies.
This is some of the stuff Marvel offers, right? And then
yeah.
All right, I can get down with that. I'm almost treating this as a Kang movie right now more than I am an Ant-Man movie, which I think it's fine because I think sometimes Ant-Man is better. He's kind of like Doctor Strange. He's better as like a complementary character than the lead character, right? And I think that's why we said it was good to have Wanda as such a big part of his of the last movie of the Multiverse of Madness because it kind of fits like that. So I also saw again, you're talking about the comedy, and also Ant-Man is very good at kind of making the MCU feel more real. He has a podcast, right? We learned that in Miss Marvel and stuff like that. And I saw this somewhere, and I don't know if this is somewhere in Quantumania. He addresses the infamous flying up Thanos' ass question and stuff like that. I mean, to this day, I'm still a little upset. He breaks it down a little. I think there was people tweeted it was back in June. I completely missed it when it happened. I would have blogged it. I would have done an emergency podcast about it. Let's be honest. So all that kind of stuff. If Kang is kidnapping people and he's doing fucked up Kang shit, it's an important movie. I think the way we think about Jonathan Majors and whatever the Kang character, He Who Remains, that character, after the Loki, I think we pretty much had like, oh yeah, let's fucking go 100% approval rating. I need them to hit with it in this one as well. So I'm hoping this one is as good as he was at the end of Loki.
Now the next trailer was undoubtedly the most bizarre one. And did you see it? The Werewolf by Night trailer?
I didn't even know there was a trailer until you sent me over the rundown.
So I would love to get your live reaction to watching.
Okay,
this.
I'm going to watch it right now.
Hit play on that trailer. This is directed by Michael Giacchino, who is normally known as a composer. It's his first time directing anything. And it's inspired by horror movies from the 30s and 40s. This comes out next month. It's the first ever Marvel Studios special presentation, which I took as like their version of a Disney Channel original movie. When they're like, we're just throwing this on Disney Plus. Inspired by Poltergeist. That was the major inspiration Michael Giacchino listed on stage. It looks crazy, kind of like a Universal monster movie, and I'm down for it. Like, go crazy. Give us a weird Marvel Studios Halloween special. Make sure you get to the end too, because you get a little glimpse of werewolfy stuff going on. But it almost looks like a whodunit, like a bunch of people are in a room, nobody knows who the werewolf is.
Bob, I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not see this coming when I hit play here. That's exactly the way to put it. It's that old school horror movie vibe to it. Is the movie gonna look like that too? Because it's kind of blowing my mind.
Did you see the end with the werewolf?
Yeah.
Pretty sick.
They have like the crunch and everything too. Our boy Jose, I got to know what he has to kind of break down, like, because this is in the Moon Knight realm, and he did such a good job explaining Moon Knight to us. I did not see that coming. Again, number one question to the let's see who's doing this. First time director Michael Giacchino. Are we going to see the Werewolf by Night in this fucking movie? Because I barely saw Moon Knight in the Moon Knight show. Just make sure I see the Werewolf by Night, because I barely saw him in the trailer.
Yeah, Moon Knight came from Werewolf by Night. Maybe Moon Knight makes a brief appearance.
Yeah, good call. I could get down with that. I don't even. Is that Halloween? Is it coming out on? Is it going to be a Halloween?
Like October 7th. It's less than a month away.
For some reason I thought someone had said that they were going to release it on Halloween night, which I thought was a pretty cool thing to do. After you give
cool, yeah.
You give out the candy, and then there is like that hour and a half gap where you're like, all right, like I'm going to stay up in case more kids come to the door, but it's like there's nothing else on unless you're lucky enough. I think this year's a Monday, so Monday Night Football will be on, and the Mets World Series will be on. I'm going to say it right now. Calling it right now, September 11th, that the Mets are going to be playing on the World Series on October 31st. That's a weird trailer, man. I'm not going to lie to you.
It's a weird trailer, but I like Marvel going for all weird things now. Give us a court procedural show in She-Hulk. Yes. Give us WandaVision, where they went after like Dick Van Dyke's show. Give us the latest Thor movie, which is basically a comedy. Go for those weird things. I want all those weird things.
Yeah, and like this one, you don't really need to. You shouldn't have to watch Werewolf by Night to know what's going to happen with Kang in the future. Like I wouldn't put too much into this.
I almost took that as like the special presentation. If they continue doing those, which I think that's a great idea, like do a special presentation for a character that doesn't deserve a whole show, but you could make a really cool hour-long story out of. If they continue with that, almost like an anthology,
Yeah, the one thing that I always come back to with these MCU shows, when you said it could be kind of its own special comic book run where it's kind of a one-off and they can make a show out of it. And like literally I was always thinking a series, but you can make literally one TV show about Werewolf by Night, introduce him in his own special way. And that is a very unique, special way. I kind of want to know what our boy Eddie thinks about it too. Eddie low-key loves horror characters just like that. Like he likes that. I don't know if the campy is the word, but he likes the old Mummy and the Dracula vampires and all that stuff. I kind of want to hear Eddie's take on it. I want to do an Eddie impersonation so badly as well, but I can't do it. And I know Large does a great one. So maybe we'll have to have Eddie on the pod just to give us Eddie, give us exactly 2 minutes of your Werewolf by Night review. It's pretty good, guy. See, I'm trying it and I can already tell it's not good. So we're just going to go there.
How about this? I'm about to pull up an Eddie message for you. I talked to Eddie about a horror movie that came out this week called Barbarian, and I heard very good things about this movie, Barbarian, so I asked Eddie his thoughts, and he said it was an enjoyable watch. I can't do the Eddie voice either. He said, would recommend, gave a couple good jump scares, story was intriguing, characters were pretty likable, falls into some cliche tropes at times, but then makes up for it with something kind of fresh. So there's a little Eddie movie review mid-podcast for Barbarian.
You guys never know you're going to get in the basement. I tell you, you're thinking Star Wars and Marvel. Boom, Barbarian podcast by Eddie thrown into you. And check out the Eddie behind the blog with KFC.
Yeah, it was an awesome great interview. I watched
insight into him, and just kind of like the whole thing when he was just kind of just went dark on Barstool for a little while because some things didn't break his way. It was like some of the more real shit you'll hear. And huge fans of Eddie down here in the basement. I mean, that's my teammate. That's my dozen teammate, which Bob, you guys have to be getting a teammate pretty soon, right? For
look out for an announcement very soon. Yeah.
Okay. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. The front office has been working this postseason for sure. And Eddie also in that behind the blog talked about his time at Howard Stern. A clip of us was played on Howard Stern this week, Clem, talking about his whole Dr. Doom thing when it looked like maybe he accidentally revealed on a hot mic. I don't know how it was revealed though. Nobody sent us the clip. So I don't know if the Dr. Doom thing was a bit. I don't know if it's real. I have no idea.
Yeah, I hope Howard wasn't shitting on us or anything like that. But I as someone that was
in the clip, I think I was pretty just Oh, it happened. I didn't even really give an opinion. I just kind of gave the facts.
And it was wild how that all came out, right? But
Yeah,
I am very
that was
excited
wild. That was
that
wild.
that how I've always like admired and loved Howard Stern, the radio show, the E show, which again the olds here can
Private Parts, right?
appreciate.
The
Private
movie.
Parts, yep, the
So
movie
good.
and the
When
show
he's in
on.
that in the Central Park, he throws the frisbee right at the guy's face. That's an all-time moment in Private Parts. And like every time you hear like WNBC, how do you not think WNBC?
NBC, pig vomit, it all just hits. So the fact the Basement Boys are getting a little bit of love on Howard Stern makes me goddamn proud.
Before we go forward, I want to tell everyone about Game Time, the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. Game Time is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, shows. They guarantee the lowest price every time. Game Time has given me concert tickets to Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine. There's some tours coming up that I would love to go to. I just saw My Chemical Romance. It's like I think they're at UBS tonight. That would be an awesome. If you're listening to this on release night, that would be an awesome concert to go to. I've got House of the Dragon, so I'm going to be skipping out on My Chem, but House of the Dragon, that's another thing. Medieval Times, we were talking about doing at 50K. Maybe you could get tickets to Medieval Times through Game Time. You probably can't, but maybe you can. Game Time has tickets to more than just sports. That's important to know. Concerts, Clem's used them for concerts. I've used them for concerts. My brother's used them for concerts. It's a great app. WWE shows, AEW shows. You get tickets to wrestling events as well. WWE has been thriving lately under Triple H's new reign of terror. Terror Rising was his original name, so that kind of fits. Go to Game Time, create an account, create a login, and then redeem the code MMB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but this is a great deal for any listener. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
I don't know if Yes still a band? Like, do they still tour? Are they all alive? I don't know.
They're not all alive. The bass player passed away, unfortunately.
Okay, well, if Yes is playing in the Nassau Coliseum, that's all I know. Anyone who watched listen to Dog with Eddie and Stu Feiner. Apparently, Yes concerts at the North Nassau Coliseum. That is where magic happens.
Oh my God, they've had so many band members over the years.
Really?
Chris Squire, yeah, he passed in 2015, but Yes is still a touring band.
There we go. So
there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 members of Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. There's been 24. There's been 20. There's been 24 members. There's a member of Yes for every episode of Andor.
Yes, good work. Way to tie it all together, Bob.
Going forward, Secret Invasion. Clem, I got to tell you, this was my favorite trailer unveiled at D23. Star Wars, Marvel, anything. This gave vibes of The Matrix. It gave vibes of Jason Bourne. It was crazy to see Nick Fury without an eye patch look maybe more badass than Nick Fury with an eye patch. He's got the scar, his white eye, his beard. Everything about this show I think looks awesome. My friend hit me up and said this looks like an FX show, and I was like, I don't think that's a bad thing. I like a couple FX shows.
Yeah, and then you remember that Nick Fury got the scratch from a cat, and you're just like, oh yeah, that's right. I just love that Samuel L. Jackson was just like this super duper awesome like reserve player that they could just use whenever they wanted, and he always felt like almost too. I don't want to say too good for like the role he was playing, but it was just like, damn, they just got Samuel L. Jackson just basically to show up in the post credits and tell us some cool shit's coming, right? So I am excited. The way they shot the trailer and everything definitely gets you hyped up. I could just feel my brain already like being so confused. I'm like making the sus list on just people I don't even know their character names in this show. There's just a lot of shit that's coming. The word secret means a lot of stuff in Star Wars between Invasion and Wars. I'm not ready for all this.
In Marvel, you said in Star Wars.
Did I say? I mean, now I'm in the wrong fucking galaxy. That's where my brain is going right now. Oh my God.
And there were quick presentations, ones that we didn't see any footage on for Armor Wars, for Loki season 2. I think they showed a trailer to the hall in attendance, but we didn't see anything from Loki season 2. For Echo, where they brought out Kingpin and they brought out Charlie Cox for Daredevil Born Again. Again, no footage shown for any of these. For Captain America New World Order And we got a surprise. Tim Blake Nelson, 14 years after he was teased as the leader in The Incredible Hulk, is back, and he will be the villain in this movie. Now, the leader, if you've ever seen him, he's got this big green head, this big, if you're watching on YouTube, this big.
It's
In
twice
The
as two
Incredible
Bob
Hulk,
heads. Two Bob heads.
in The Incredible Hulk, they gave him like a little head. It looked like a hematoma when a fighter, like Joanna Young Jacek, when she got a big hematoma. I want this head to be huge for this next Captain America movie. They did say, what was his name? Danny Ramirez is going to be back as the Falcon in this movie, because obviously the Falcon is now Captain America himself. And Anthony Mackie gave a great quote about a movie that we're going to talk about in a second, The Thunderbolts, where he was like, I don't think they should have given Sebastian Stan a movie with John Walker without giving me a movie with Chris, like saying he wants Chris Evans back. Maybe we will see. I think we will see in Captain America 4 old man Captain America back. I think that's the spot to bring him back.
And do you know where he is?
On the moon?
He's on the goddamn moon. Bob. We called it months ago, if not years ago at this point. Captain America is on that fucking moon. I'm guaranteeing it right now.
Another quick presentation before we get into the big one to wrap things up was the Marvels. The Marvels having all three of the Marvels on stage: Photon, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and I think they showed some footage and they revealed that like every time they go to use their powers, they swap places with each other. So they gotta kind of meet up and figure that out. I think that's, a good continuation of the story after Miss Marvel.
I could already tell you the Rotten Tomatoes in this one's going to be 0 before it even launches. There's just no doubt in my mind. People are going to get very upset about it. I hope that one's good. We'll see. I also saw that Daredevil Born Again is a reboot. It's not a continuation of the old Daredevil show.
Wait, what?
I think I saw that.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been hearing continuation.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think, again, this is also the guy that thought that there was 24 episodes of Andor coming up. So where did I see that it was going to be a reboot? Daredevil's, this is on comicbook.com. Or no, this was Lights Camera Pod. It is a season 1. It is not season 4. It's a whole new thing. Charlie Cox confirms the upcoming Daredevil Born Again series is a reboot and not a continuation of the Netflix adaptation.
Maybe it's a new thing, but they're gonna I don't think they're gonna retcon.
Yeah, I think reboot means I don't think it's straight up from
like it'll be like you won't have to watch the show before it to see
that would be me. So very happy we really should watch it. That's the thing. Again, it's like we should watch it, and then it's like, but we just talked about 15,000 things that are coming out that we're gonna have to cover, along with the other stuff like Game of Thrones and whatever we're gonna have to cover.
And like the 2 days before Andor, I'm calling Canelo Triple G in Vegas, and 3 days afterwards, I'm playing Ocean's Calling.
How
crazy
about
the variety of stuff that you're able to do with Barstool. God bless Dave Portnoy for making this company. God bless Dave
Portnoy. Goddamn right. Loki season 2. Is it too much for Waldron to give us a little bit of hey, this is what's going on here?
What the fuck, Waldron?
What's going on here? Echo feels like it's almost like a She-Hulk where I'm not as excited about it, but I do think there's going to be enough cameos and other characters involved, which should be the case in most of them. I don't need to see either whether it's about a villain or a hero. I don't need to see them beating up bunch of goons or just random people. Give me big time showdowns against other villains or superheroes. Disney has the budget to have these big time actors be in these shows. There's no reason not to do it, because that is the formula that is working so far with She-Hulk. Our boy Wong is just crushing it these days.
I almost hit Waldron up this week to say hey, I don't know if you're writing Doctor Strange 3, but Wong and our girl Madison need to have a wedding scene. That needs to be the next wedding. Wong keeps getting invited to weddings. I need to see his wedding with Madison.
Our girl Madison got her own MCU poster too. Did you see that?
She deserves it. I saw it. It was great. And I rewatched the episode with my girlfriend. On the second watch, she made me laugh every scene again.
Can you also text Waldron? Clem says "fuck the Braves," because now it's getting to the point now where it's a legit battle here. Because I'm
gonna hit him up today. I'm gonna say 1, Wong wedding, 2, fuck the Braves.
The Mets did not collapse. The Mets are playing just perfectly fine baseball. The Braves are playing otherworldly baseball. Your Yankees are doing closer thing to collapsing than my Mets. Just, we have a goddamn wagon in our division.
Who are you arguing with right now, Clem?
Myself. I'm dealing with a bunch of idiots on Twitter.
I know you're like, they didn't collapse. Stop saying it. I didn't
my
say
mentions.
It.
I'm arguing with my mentions right now, and I apologize, Bob. Also, someone said it the best. The Thunderbolts. It's like it is just a team of just basically.
Yeah, so that's the next one.
Shit.
That's the final one we're going to talk about. The Thunderbolts officially announced, and the team consists of Valentina D'Allegra, right? D'Allegra Fontaine.
We're going to call her Val.
Val, Elaine. She's the leader. We've got Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, who was very underutilized in that movie. She's got a very cool look. Her CGI when she was like phasing in and out of shit was very cool. We've got Hopper from Stranger Things, but he's obviously his character from Black Widow, Red Guardian. We've got Yelena, his daughter. We've got, this one's interesting, the Winter Soldier. And like the Winter Soldier's an Avenger. Now he's a Thunderbolt. I don't know if it's like they're somehow hanging his crimes as the Winter Soldier over his head, or is he there Rick Flag making sure like John Walker stays in line? John Walker, he's seen as a lunatic. Maybe he's like, I got to make sure he doesn't slice someone's head off with his fucking shield again. And we've got Taskmaster from Black Widow.
I was very excited to see how you reacted to having Bucky in there too, because that's Steve's
I like it because it's also like I feel like he's gonna have a big spotlight, whereas in the Avengers movies he usually has like a line here or there.
Yeah. Good for Sebastian Stan. Couldn't get the Luke Skywalker role yet, but he gets to be a part of the Avengers. Taskmaster. I hope that
feels like it's a redemption spot. That feels like she's on there because they were like, listen, we know people didn't really like that we made her silent when the comic book character has all this personality. I think she's going to be like rebooted with personality.
I always, again, trust the Feige, we say at all times. I really hope that they fix that. Because, again, someone that doesn't know anything about Taskmaster, they're like, man, you guys got a very, very shitty version of Taskmaster. When we go back to our Black Widow review, we're kind of just like, I feel like there was like 3 villains, but there was no villains, and I don't really know what happened there. By the way, Yelena now, she's just the chick that is arguing with Olivia Wilde in my mind. I can't see anything but because it's just nonstop stories about it every single.
And I guess we got to be team. Well, Harry Styles is also in the MCU. I was gonna say we got to be team Yelena.
Yeah.
But now they're kind of both in the. I'm still team Yelena. I like Olivia Wilde too. I like her a lot. I liked her on House when she was 13. But
I also like Jason Sudeikis though, right? And that kind
of. Also, I want to clarify. Her character's name is 13. She wasn't 13.
Oh yeah, good call.
I love Jason Sudeikis.
That's right. Going against Ted Lasso was just fucking wrong. Our boy Hopper. I just one like for one series or one show in the MCU. I just want to have it where it's just like and Hopper, and they just brought him in from Netflix. They broke so many legal laws. It's just we're just gonna embrace it because that's what we all know him as. He's Hopper, not the Red Guardian. Even if he throws his shitty fucking Russian accent in there.
And now this team, I'm gonna say it, it's good. It's not great. I don't think it's. I didn't look at this Thunderbolts lineup and go like, oh my god, I have to see that movie. I mean, there's 3 characters from Black Widow. Like half the team is just from Black Widow, and then you've got 2 people from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then Ghost. I wanted a little more like range. I wanted Abomination, like we talked about, and maybe they're saving that for a post-credit scene at the end of She-Hulk, where that like is alluded to or something like that. I wanted Zemo, which is maybe a bit hypocritical because another person from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But Zemo, I think in the comics, is like the Thunderbolts guy.
You want Abomination, Bob? We broke Abomination. He's coming to the Thunderbolts. We broke it in our She-Hulk breakdown. So he's coming. They have the little like picture of them or whatever. If you kind of like zoom out and you kind of just mentally Photoshop Abomination as kind of their Hulk in the background, I can see it. It's coming to fruition. Breaking right now in my mom's basement. Abomination, part of the Thunderbolts. See you guys at fucking D23 next year. When's this? Like maybe that'll be when it's announced. I don't know, but I'm telling you, Abomination's going to be in. It just makes too much sense for him not to be in. Again, I can already see the She-Hulk, one of the 3 post-credit scene at the end of the season when our girl Elaine is recruiting him, and Tim Roth is a good dude, and he probably did something redeeming in She-Hulk, and it's like Got to kind of bring the big guy back here. We're going to fuck some shit up with a bunch of other bad boys here. And I have to say this too. Suicide Squad, A, much cooler name. Much cooler name.
Yeah.
And B, they had like having like someone like Harley Quinn who already has like a, resonates with the fan base, having Margot Robbie, who is incredibly beautiful, and having
nice,
someone,
respectful.
Yes, very respectful here in the basement. And then even like, obviously it's Stringer, but then Cena, and you have all the stuff James Gunn brought, not even with the Suicide Squad as much as like Peacemaker. I feel like Thunderbolts, I'm expecting more from it than I should.
Thunderbolts, I was going to say, should be the first rated R movie. Depends on when Blade is. I think Blade should be a rated R movie. Thunderbolts should push the PG-13 limit because you're fighting an uphill battle going against, like you said, Suicide Squad comparisons, where Suicide Squad is so bloody and vulgar.
Yeah.
And, it's almost like we were talking about on House of the Dragon, like Lord of the Rings, the very PG show right now, versus Game of Thrones with the incest and the childbirthing scenes and the beheadings and the castration. Like, which one sounds like a more interesting hour? It's the one with all the crazy shit in it.
If you want to watch like a live stream, either with like the Barstool guys or like Bleacher Report guys, like, you're two very different experiences. I don't know.
Shots fired.
Boom, boom.
That was it for D23 though.
I'm sorry, Bob. Continue.
I mean, they announced Avatar. We're not talking about that shit. They did some new trailer for that. Who cares? I'll see it when it comes out, but I don't really care about it.
Yep, I'm not going to care about it either. I don't remember anything from the first one other than it being, like they say, a Blue Man Group Pocahontas or whatever. I think the big story of all this was what was not announced, right? So no Fantastic Four
casting, yeah. They announced officially the director, which had been rumored for a couple of weeks, is the guy who did WandaVision.
Well, this is why maybe Disney didn't take over, didn't peace out from Comic-Con. If they had a hammer like the Fantastic Four, because the first time they break away from Comic-Con, which should we make that our thumbnail for this week on YouTube? Disney announces that they're not going to be going to Comic-Con
Disney
next
breaking away from Comic-Con?
We did a funny face for the people who are listening right now, like a thinking face. The Fantastic Four would have been really nice. And then obviously our boy Joseph Cole broke it with the line. He said, no X-Men movie for a very long time. And multiple people hit us up and said the reason for that is I think Michael Fassbender and a lot of the other people from the X-Men movies back when it was on Fox, they have a clause in their contract that states if they use any of the characters that are in those movies, they get, probably a whole bunch of money. So Disney,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought you even you tweeted something about it. We got it from a few people, and then I got DM'd about it as well.
They've got like the Billy D. Williams and Batman '89 clause, where he's like, if you use fucking Two-Face, you're paying me, and then they use Tommy Lee Jones, and they paid him.
Yep, exactly. They get royalties off it, and I don't think that and I think the characters that you have it's basically all the X-Men characters, so it's kind of and then you said maybe they'll introduce some other ones along the way. That makes me feel a little better.
I think they will, especially with the little Wolverine tease and She-Hulk. It was so subtle, but it is an acknowledgement that Wolverine exists in the MCU right now, and I'm taking that as like a confirmed. Maybe it was an MCU BuzzFeed clickbait article.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I'm taking that as like, hey, he's around. Like, just wait.
And if it goes till 2025, 2025 is not that long away.
It's
much closer than it should be.
Always with this stuff, it's especially Comic-Con type announcements really like accentuate it for me. It comes around before you know it. Like, I remember thinking when they announced the initial Avengers movie, like, that sounds like it's going to be forever from now. Like, I'm not even going to be alive when that comes out. And then before I knew it, I was in the theater watching it. And it's the same thing with Infinity War. When they announced that, like, it felt like it was forever from now. And then before you know it, you're watching Endgame. And it's like, this stuff is going to really fly by. Because there's also, like, it's like something every fucking month.
It's crazy.
So it's like you kind of forget about it. And then before you know it, here it is.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So a lot of exciting stuff coming up, a lot of work coming in the basement, but a lot of this stuff is a very long time away. Just shoot the fucking X-Men movie. Just, don't tell anyone about it. Don't cast it, and then release it after the contracts are done. Like, I feel like that can be done, right? That's probably within, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. If you're watching this or listening to it on release day, We are doing a House of the Dragon show tonight with guest John Feidelberg of House KFC Radio. So make sure you tune in after House of the Dragon, right after House of the Dragon on HBO. We'll go live. We'll recap it in costume, of course. What you see my wig over there on YouTube. You see the crab feeder mask over there on Baby Yo. I'm calling him the frog feeder now.
I love that.
And subscribe on the Game of Stools feed as well. Help out us on the charts there. If we hit 35,000 on the My Mom's Basement YouTube, we're doing growing up in the 80s with Large and RA. If we hit 50,000, we're taking KFC to medieval times and we're doing a vlog there. So subscribe, tell your friends to subscribe, and thank you for tuning into this episode.
Tell your enemies to subscribe too. Who cares? Like, it's just a subscription. It's free.
In fact, tell your enemies to subscribe.